The Canadian, the Scot, and no German are here today for another episode of YAMology. Welcome to episode 35. Alex is still in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He just watched game one. It was great. Waiting for game two, but nonetheless, we're here now. Matt, name a player who wears the number 35.
Ooh, a guy that used to play for the Thunder, Kevin Durant. I think that's. I just go basic. I don't want to push my limits. Who was the guy that was the Thunder player that took Kevin Durant's number? Is it Dozier?
PJ Dozier.
Mm-hmm. Thunder legends.
Yep. So I'm trying to think who else is there at worst 35. Is there someone who like is a KD fan and chose the number 35? I feel like there's someone, but I can't think of who. So if you said PJ, I'll take KD and that'll just be it. But over the weekend we had a lot of great basketball. Matt, what game are we going to start with? And does it involve Kevin Durant's former team?
The Brooklyn Nets? No, Skip. They didn't make the playoffs this year.
Not the
Go
Warriors
go go.
too. Ah,
Not the
you're
Warriors
gonna
too.
laugh at them.
There- There's a curse. There's a curse go round. No, it was the team that Kevin Durant was drafted to. The Seattle Supersonics. Nope. The Oklahoma City Thunder played the New Orleans Pelicans. And I got less sleep than I usually do because I was up from half two till 5 a.m. just grinding it out. But I'm so glad I stayed up. Skip, what time did you watch the game?
I watched it at a normal time. It was 9:30 p.m., but I had work the next day, so it was kind of annoying how the game ended at basically midnight. But it is what it is. It was worth staying up for, and it was just absolutely insane. Like that CJ shot is stuck in my head because it was completely on target, almost shot it like with the perfect force, just a little bit too hard, and it hit the back of the rim and went out. And that's how the Thunder won. But then again, you got to win ugly in the playoffs to survive, and that's clearly what they were able to do.
You thought that was going to win, right?
Yeah, I thought that was going in. I'm not gonna lie, that looked good. Like Kaysen played great defense. He didn't foul, but then that shot from CJ was just insane. But speaking of insane shots that actually did go in, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit the go-ahead bucket after the Thunder were held scoreless for about 4 minutes, I think, or 3 minutes and something of game time.
Almost five.
Yeah,
Five.
exactly. Yep. Shai
Over
hit a
to a field
shot.
goal.
Yeah, for field goal specifically. She hit a shot to tie the game, and then a couple possessions later, or actually one long possession, because the Pelicans grabbed like five offensive rebounds and missed everything. The Thunder had a chance, and Shea just threw up a wild shot with CJ reaching, and he was able to make it, and that kind of helped the Thunder seal the game. It was an insane game. Shout out to the Pelicans. They really competed in this one. The Thunder looked really nervous and young for a lot of stretches. They had like maybe one good stretch in the whole game, you could say, and the rest of it they just looked nervous. And for them to come out with a win in a game where they deserved a loss is huge, especially in the postseason, because it's like you can learn the lessons now and not feel good about how you played now, but you're still up 1-0, so you don't have to deal with like being down 0-1, losing your first game at home and all that.
Yep. So you talk about that sequence with five offensive rebounds. That was the worst moment of my life. They get a pick and roll, kick out to Herb Jones, open three, miss. Thunder don't grab the rebound. CJ McCollum, open three, miss. Grab another rebound, crash, loose ball. Brandon Ingram has it, pump fakes, drives in, kicks out. He gets the ball again. He's looking for another shot. Another offensive rebound. Four, and then a shot clock malfunction. That 24 seconds at 5 a.m. That was traumatic.
Yeah, the one that really got me was the one where Dort had the ball and then someone bumped into him from his own team and then he lost the ball and then the Pelicans got another offensive rebound like that. It was just like sheesh. And the Pelicans were taking really dumb shots too. Like you were saying they were open. A lot of them were contested. Like BI, I don't know what he was thinking. He just took a fadeaway three for no reason, right before the shot clock malfunction one. But nonetheless, another guy I'd shout out is Trey Murphy. He played really good. He hit, I think, five threes. He was able to get up 12, and he was shooting them from like deep, deep. So that was good to see. It was a real rock fight of a game, and in a weekend filled with blowouts, it was nice to see that. And for the Thunder specifically, I like that they have this kind of adversity they have to deal with and overcome and everything. So yeah, no harm, no foul since they got the win. I'll say we're biased. Okay, most of our listeners are Thunder fans. It's okay, but the Pelicans are definitely gonna put up a fight. We'll see how the Thunder adjust. We'll see if they'll be able to actually hit their threes, but it's gonna be an interesting series to say the least.
Yep. Definitely more of a dogfight than even we expected when we talked about our YouTube series. Also, shout out our YouTube series. We've been enjoying the impacts. Like it's been good. A couple hundred view videos, up subscribers and about 20 number. So just find the link in the description, subscribe there. And I think we're seeing a lot of success in YouTube. So I think we're going to try to do some more in the future. But with the Pelicans, they know they can compete now, which is tough. And they're still the 8 seed, but they're not playing like an 8 seed. They're playing like a team that's trying to win basketball games. Obviously CJ and Brandon Ingram didn't have their best nights, but that defense, like I would go as far as saying Shea got like relatively locked up or enclosed on his own ability just because the way they were defending him, putting that wall, you know, spacing in the playoffs just shrinks. Don't know why, it just does. People just get bigger, the court gets smaller.
Yeah, there was the one graphic. They were literally guarding Shea like Giannis. Like they had three or four guys just having an eye on Shea on his drive. So like Shea was on the wing. The person who was guarding the Thunder player in the corner was trying to help on Shea, and then on the other side, around the top of the key, Herb Jones was just there waiting for Shea, and it's just like insane. So you have nail help on the other end, you have someone else willing to help on the other side, and then you have the ball in the wing. Like Shea did not have an easy time, but he still was able to put up 28 points on slightly under 50% shooting. So I would say that's a good game overall. And on the other end, the reason why I didn't really bite the Thunder in the butt is Cason Wallace and Lou Dort, great defense. And the whole team played great defense, but those two specifically, getting big stops when the Thunder needed it. Lou Dort, that stop on BI felt huge, the one where he took the charge. But yeah, a lot of moments in this game. I think the main adjustment the Thunder need to make is honestly just hitting their threes, as basic as it sounds. And then two, just don't turn the ball over. Like they had maybe three or four in the fourth quarter specifically, just unnecessary turnovers. I can think of two by Shea, and one by Jalen Williams, where it's just like a standard play, but I don't know if it's the nerves or what, but they just threw the ball away or they got stripped pretty easily when that's not something that has happened to them all season long. So I think the crowd was just too amped up and it kind of hyped them up too much. So they were extra nervous for this game, but it didn't cost them, so it's all good, I'd say.
Yeah, those turnovers were completely uncharacteristic. Like we haven't seen them the entire season. Um, Understandable the nerves got to them. People saying, "Oh, they lost to a team without Zion, and it was only a 2 point game." No, this is the first playoff game in Paycom. Well, it wasn't Paycom. It was the Chesapeake Energy Arena or something like that. Back in
Chesapeake.
2019. Ah, there we go. I'm sorry for not naming a sponsor the right way. They get enough. They get enough love. Um, but like that's the first game there in 5 years. Obviously, our boy Alex got to be there. Also, I'm speaking on the podcast. Alex, see when I see you, if you have a spare playoff tee, please throw it my way. That'd be iconic. But just putting it out there. Doesn't have to happen. It's all good. Uh, but yeah, just so I was so enamored by that game. It was so uncharacteristic. My adjustment would be I want to see the Thunder run through more of their sets. And they didn't really do that. It was a lot of kind of pick and roll stuff, but I want them to kind of run through stuff. You didn't see a lot of ATOs or successful ATOs. Mark Dagnall called a timeout with 0.8 seconds on the shot on the game clock. I think it was that third quarter or second quarter.
When you called a challenge?
No, not the
Or
challenge.
the
We can
time,
get into that.
yeah, yeah, that was end of the third quarter. End of the third quarter. Yep.
And I remember someone tweeting like, Mark is growing up the sickest basketball player. And it's like 0.8 seconds is crazy. And I was like, it's so
Yeah.
interesting in the NBA how obviously every possession counts. and down the stretch they'll put the defenders in the defensive possessions, and then they'll put their, don't use the word attackers, on the offensive
Yep.
end. It's so interesting. Like they just say that every play counts. We're gonna swap Courage Williams for Lindy Waters. It's just so like it's extreme sometimes.
Yep, for sure. And I think part of the thinking with Mark was that timeout was going to be burned anyways because the quarter was about to end, and he had like one extra going into the fourth. I think I could be slightly mistaken. So he just used it there instead of it just going to waste, even though it's just zero point 0.8 seconds on the clock. But we appreciate everyone listening on YouTube nonetheless. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We'll keep clipping out stuff. We really appreciate the love that it's been getting. Keep commenting away, keep sharing, keep liking, all that stuff. We appreciate every last one of you. But moving on to another game, we had the Clippers and Mavs play. It was a blowout to start. The Clippers just like came out running and gunning. They almost scored double the points the Mavs did at halftime. James Harden looked like prime Harden. Luka had one of the worst 30-point games I've seen in a while. It looked really ugly, but he had like 30, 10 and something. Kyrie had a huge third quarter to bring it close, but they were never really within striking distance. The Clippers just looked like they were going through the motions the second half of that game, and it didn't matter because they were up 30. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, I think this goes back to that voice note I sent you on like a player can have an awful game, but they'll still have like 25 because they take like 20 shots or they'll get to the free throw line. So that was Paolo Banchero I was referring to against Cleveland, who set a playoff debut. I don't know how much we're going to get into that, but yeah. We were talking about role players and how they're going to step up, the Mavericks shot 30% from three. Give me the volumes here, but the rebounding battle is basically the same. Like if the Clippers have more assists against like a team that's solely reliant on like catch and shoots in the Mavericks, like there's kind of something wrong. You need to be up in that assist battle. But yeah, overall you can't shoot 39% from the field goal and expect to win a playoff game, especially against a talented offense like the Clippers.
Yeah, and one thing I was really proud of in this game specifically is my series preview points perfectly were encompassed in this game because I said that the X factor for the Clippers would be if their stars showed up, and the X factor for the Mavs is if their role players hit their threes. And the exact scenario happened where the Clippers stars showed up. Clippers role players are always good. For the Mavs, their stars showed up because those guys are always good. But the X factor, which is the Mavs role players, didn't show up, and that was kind of why they lost. Like PJ Washington, for example, was shooting with such little confidence, even on open looks. He was 2 for 7 overall, and I think he hit those two later in the game as well. Like start of the game, he was really bad. Like offensively, defensively, he was pretty good, I'd say, but it's just rough when you're breaking threes a certain way and you're taking early shots and you're shooting without confidence, and then your spacing becomes worth less and less. And then, Maxi Kleber as well was struggling from there. And it was just strange. And then Luka tried carrying the weight on himself. He took 12 threes, only made four. And a lot of them were tough step back threes. The Mavs just looked like they couldn't get into momentum and get into rhythm, whereas the Clippers were just running and gunning, pushing the pace. Westbrook brought the energy, and they were hitting their catch and shoot threes, which was absolutely huge. And then on top of that, you get a really good James Harden game, which hasn't happened in a while for the Clippers. So that was the real difference maker in this one.
Yeah, we've seen game one James Harden come out. He had that against the Celtics 45 piece and then basically a game sealer over Al Horford. And also it's reminiscent to see the Russell Westbrook lob. We've seen that quite a lot this season. Even seen it obviously with the Rockets, like that baseline cutter. Um, like obviously Westbrook is not the guy you want enough on catch and shoots from 3 point lands, but on those kind of baseline cuts, he's lethal. You don't expect it, and then all of a sudden it's just out there. And James Harden is obviously one of the best lob passers in NBA history. I would go that far. Who else is up there in the lob? Oh, probably Chris Paul. Chris Paul is probably who else I put in that category. Anyone else
In
get
terms of the
lob?
lob throwers,
Mm-hmm.
um, I say Nikola Jokic. Him and Aaron Gordon just have insane chemistry. But yeah, besides that, you got it. It's those guys.
I
Harden is
think
elite
that's
at it.
cheating
Trey Young
though.
as well. but hmm?
I feel Aaron
Jokic.
Gordon's just a cheat code. Like
Yeah,
you
he
could throw
is.
that anywhere. Also,
Yeah, he's
just
kind
some
of
like personal lore. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm a
But I mean,
genuinely good ball passer. I
you are?
just so you guys know. Yeah, I
Oh,
genuinely
I'm
feel I've
not.
got like the timing down.
Yeah, I'm a good passer over. I'm like Josh Giddey. Like I'm a good passer overall, but not on his level. But whatever. And I'm not like Josh Giddey. I'm not trying to compare myself to him. But
I was just about to say.
so pause there, slight pause. Um, but in the sense that I have never played with people athletic enough to consistently catch lobs, so I just never have worked on it. So whenever I play with people who are and they're like, "Oh, throw me a lob or whatever," post game, I just it goes out of bounds. I just don't know how to do it.
Mhm. Don't worry, I'm referring to like half court. Man's suffering in on mute because he said I'm like just kidding. That's crazy. I'm just talking
Nah,
about like
mhm. That's a moment right there for the pod.
nah. My
I
favorite
might have
moment
to
is
clip this out for YouTube. We'll see.
my moment is the one where you're like, oh, it's something like it's like hard, sticky, and just like you don't understand like what you're saying. Oh, I can find it on my phone. Anyway, we'll get back to the pod. Okay, we appreciate you guys. All right, Knicks 76ers at I called it the Mecca in our preview, MSG. Um, I think that game went as expected. Um, well, to an extent. Uh, Joel Embiid, I that is the nastiest like dunk I've ever seen that leads to an injury. Um, I've, I'm a guy that deals with knee injuries, so any knee injury I see just like pains me. I don't know if Skit gets that same kind of feeling in his knees every time he sees that, but I don't know why these guys play. And we already went through Jimmy Butler and like why would he do this to himself? Obviously without Joel Embiid, they're not in this game. Don't get me wrong. Um, they're not in this series, but they just look in so much pain. And he's never been healthy in the playoffs, but it's so hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah, it's rough. That play specifically, it shocked me like genuinely. So I was watching that game live, and Embiid was just like limping around. He looked like he was moving a little bit better in the second quarter, and then he just randomly throws it off the glass and then dunks it. I'm just like, oh, he just dunked on OG self alley-oop. What the heck? And then he's on the ground holding his knee, and then the camera pans over him for that shot where he's in so much pain that he blinks, but only one of his eyes like actually closes and the other eye's just open. And it looks really eerie. Have you seen that, Matt, or not? That video?
No, oh my God.
Oh, if I find it, I'm gonna send it to you. And everyone listening right now, just search for that video. If I clip this and post on YouTube, I'll try to put that picture or GIF or something like that, just so you could see. He's literally on the ground. Philly called a timeout, and he's just looking at the sky, and he's in so much pain. And then he blinks, but only one eye blinks. It was really freaky. I thought he was done for like a year. Like we'd be seeing him 2025, 2026 season. Like I was worried, but nonetheless, he was able to bounce back, be there in the second half, and he was really bad because he was really tired. But Tyrese Maxey was able to keep his team in the game. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart's hustle, Isaiah Hartenstein, Mitchell Robinson, like the usual Knicks guys, all showed up, played hard, and then they were able to scrap by with the win. But Tyrese Maxey was a real force, and if Joel Embiid was just a little bit healthier, I really think Philly could have won that game. But nonetheless, I think this is going to be a great series as long as Embiid can can be like 75%, I'll say. Because right now he's looking
Yeah,
closer to to like 65%, let's say.
I would go to the Joel Embiid we've seen in the regular season, maybe 50%. It's tough because watching him in the fourth quarter, I know he's in pain, but he's just not being a good decision maker, taking poor shots. Tyrese had a bomb to basically put this game close, out of nowhere, but you kind of have to run more through him. Even use Joel Embiid as a decoy. Just use him setting those dribble handoffs and get the action going. Nicholas Batum didn't have a play in repeat, but he was still impactful. Jalen Brunson didn't actually have a very successful game in terms of field goal makes to attempts. Um, I don't even know where my take stands on so far on him being the best player in the series. Also, one thing I want to point out is we're talking about game once. We're not overreacting. We're just going through what's happened.
Yeah, we're just gonna do a quick recap of what's happened, and then we're just gonna talk about what we're gonna look forward to. And that's kind of how the pod will go. We'll try to maybe have some more clips on YouTube specifically as things go, upload a quick 5 to 10 minute video. But nonetheless, we can move on to the next game, I think, which was Lakers Nuggets. This was a good game. The first half specifically, the Lakers looked like they were locked in, they were ready, they were up about 10 points. And then it was very weird, but the Nuggets just suddenly went on like a 10-0 run, and then that 10-0 run just continued a little bit longer. And then the Nuggets found themselves up like 13, 14 points, and then it kind of just stayed like that for the rest of the game. LeBron was really good in the first half. Second half, he was like okay for LeBron standards, I'd say. AD had a good game as well, but it was Nikola Jokic. It's my one friend, he compares Nuggets Lakers to to uh Cavs versus Raptors, the LeBronto era. I don't think it's quite that bad, but it's looking like it, where it's just like no matter what this team does, no matter how hard they play, how close they get, they end up losing at the end of the game. So what do you think, Matt?
That's a wild, wild comparison. Also, it's only the second time that the Lakers are going up against prime Nuggets. The Nuggets lost them in the bubble, and they actually detailed one of the game winners into Davis in the Mind the Game pod. Um, it's tough. I mean, the Lakers shot 28% from three. You don't win basketball games shooting 28% from three. The Thunder probably they shot 31.3% from three. Shout out to OKC Topic Thunder. I listened to their podcast for that stat. And they won that game. That's probably the lowest 3 point percentage you're going to see in a playoff win. Uh, the entire rest of the playoffs. Like you have to hit your shots. And if you hit the shot that's worth more than two, you bet you might win. But I think Anthony Davis did such a good job on Jokic. Like I genuinely think he was phenomenal. Obviously they're putting him on him. They're not using him as a roamer. Uh, and LeBron, like this man's 39. Like at the end of this year, he's gonna be 40. He's gonna be applying for some like pensioners fund and some stuff. But he's still cooking in the playoffs. Like that, like right wing three. I think it was end of the half. Was it? It wasn't a love funky three, but it was definitely a thriller. Like the man just does this stuff, and he's actually been doing it for a long time. But I haven't got to the part of the podcast with him and JJ Redick where they get to his high school coach. That'd be super interesting to find out.
Yeah, we'll be getting that perspective, I suppose. What adjustments do you think the Lakers can make in this one? Because LeBron showed up, AD showed up, Austin Reeves showed up, maybe not to the extent that you'd want him to. And I felt like their defense was okay, maybe a little bit worse than you'd like it to be. Like a lot of the mistakes they made was just like Jokic is so good, it is what it is, and you just kind of have to concede that. But they held Jamal Murray to 37.5 percent shooting from the field. KCP shot under 40% from the field. MPJ is really the only other guy who had an exceptionally good game for the Nuggets outside of Jokic. So what more can they do to try to win at least a couple games at this one and then try to gain momentum from that?
I think it's this concept in religion and faith called praying. Like you can't have a good Jamal Murray game or you're cooked. You don't have a lot of like guard play that's going to play Jamal very well. You've got like AR-15, D'Angelo Russell. Like these aren't lockdown defenders. You're not going to have guys chasing him around. Jamal's big as well, so he'll bump you. Um, didn't catch too much of that game, but you just gotta hope, your role players step up. Torian Prince hits four threes. Um, you know, they start going into like a really aggressive pick and roll coverage, which just isn't going to happen. They're going to set Jokic in the drop, and they're actually one of the best pick and roll defenses in the league this season, according to Thinking Basketball. So even going with the LeBron AD pick and roll, it's going to be tough. But you're just looking for that role player to step up. AR-15, Just give me 20 points instead.
Yep.
Um, you, just
I
hope.
think yeah. I mean, prayer is always a good recommendation to people just in general. One thing I would say is probably they need a fake D'Angelo Russell game. That run he had in late January, early February, where he was just hitting every three. He looked amazing. He was finishing in the paint and stuff. D'Angelo is such a, confidence-driven player. When his confidence is low, everyone knows. When his confidence is high, everyone knows. And they just needed to be high with him. Like he just needs to hit a couple threes and then lock in. I feel like that's really the solution. Because you look at this Lakers team, their bench has a lot of like noticeable names like Spencer Dinwiddie, Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes a little bit, Torian Prince, but none of those guys really put fear on teams. Like Spencer Dinwiddie was a -12 this game, and he's a notable name that the Lakers picked up. So I think LeBron and AD have to be, as good, if not better, than they were in game one. And on top of that, they need at least like two role players to show up. And then keep playing physical defense. Hope Jokic has a slightly inefficient game. Hope one of those role players show up, like I said, and then you could win a couple games like that. And then once they do that, they can build momentum and then try to push further. But you're obviously off the Lakers train and you don't think they have any chance. I'm gonna give them a small chance. Just I'll call it LeBron points or something like that. I don't know. He's my sunshine after all. So
That's crazy. So if we were so we had LeBronto, for LeBron owning the Raptors for so many years. What would you call Jokic owning the Lakers? The
uh
Yakers?
I don't know. See, this is something we need to think about because we need to brainstorm it. I'm likely gonna clip this, so whoever's listening on YouTube, drop down below what would you call Jokic dominating the Lakers in a similar way that we call LeBronto when he was cooking the Raptors. You can make it a joke involving Gru from Despicable Me because Jokic had that amazing ad. Like that was almost 10 out of 10. It was as good as it gets. But yeah, drop that down below. Drop your predictions for the rest of the series below as well. And we'll move on to the next series now. I guess we can discuss Suns T-Wolves. That looks like the next most interesting series in my books, at least. It was a close game at halftime, and then Anthony Edwards was just like, no more of this, and he just had a monster game, and he was talking a lot of trash. Devin Booker was notably bad in this game, in my opinion. Like they really needed him, and he just wasn't there at all. It was kind of shocking, actually, because 2 years ago he had that, or even a year ago, he had that playoff run where he basically couldn't miss, and he was, amazing. People were calling him playoff book and all this stuff. And today he played really bad. Or game one, he played really bad. He was 5 for 16 from the field, 18 points, -15 overall. KD had a good game, actually. Part of that is because, like I said in the preview, like we were discussing, Cat would either have to guard Grayson Allen or KD. The Wolves decided to have him guard KD, and KD just torched him, but it didn't matter because no one else was really cooking like that. So, what did you think?
Yeah, KD was the primary offense. Yeah, Anthony Edwards, 18 points in the third quarter. This is my overall general basketball take that you win basketball games in the third quarter. A lot of the players I've coached never agree with that, and they never went to play in the third quarter. But anytime you have a scoring output like that in the playoffs, especially in a quarter, it's going to change the basketball game. Um, just making plays on both ends, the back shots that he's hitting, like they're just disgusting. Like there's no other words. It's like who the fuck is trying that? And obviously it goes in. Um, I don't know if you agree with the bank shot as a concept, but
Bank shots
no.
are they're I don't love it. I mean, if you're good at it, you're good at it, and you should just keep doing it, like Anthony Edwards is. But me personally, I just feel like it messes up your rhythm overall. For when you're trying to just shoot a deep three, for example, like you're gonna unintentionally overshoot it a bit because you're thinking about the bank shot mid range that you hit the play before. But I'm not Anthony Edwards, so
Skit's pulling up very deep threes looking for that bank. You know how it is at the YMCA. um, it's tough. I don't know if you see one of the footwork he had, but he basically, that was
he has good
majestic.
footwork. He had a step through as well, like the step through hook shot. I don't know if that's the player
Hmm
you're talking about. He had a lot
I
of
think,
nice. He had good post footwork. That's one thing about Anthony Edwards.
and it's not something we saw maybe like in his early years, where he's not broken out until now. But he showed out in the previous playoffs against the Grizzlies. He had that big time fadeaway three running from like the wing to the corner against the Grizzlies to kind of put them back in the game. I remember watching that live, like in a sports bar in Scotland, and he just was cooking. That was his like playoff berth, but he's going to be good for the rest of the series. But it was interesting because Cat played solid. He's still recovering from the injury. He had a really nice over the head lob to Rudy Gobert on double. And Rudy Gobert was recently voted the most overrated player in the league on a straw poll conducted by The Athletic. Take that as you will. I'm just here sharing information.
Hey man, though Rudy was moving his feet though. He was keeping up with KD. He even stripped him on one play. Like Gobert had a good defensive game, and he's likely going to win Defensive Player of the Year as well. So I don't think that's going to help his case of the overrated thing, unless the Wolves do something crazy this year. But that's going to be tough to do. They're going to face the Nuggets in the second round, so it'll be good basketball. That's what we know for sure. Um, I guess what do you think the Suns can do to adjust moving on in this series, or do you feel like eventually the Wolves are going to be too much to overcome? Ultimately, my pick was I think Suns in 6 or something like that, so that's still on the
Yeah,
table. My prediction is not changing, but what do you think with that one?
yeah, we both said it was the Suns. Bradley Beal was solid, but you need to have him book a step up. Grayson Allen, you need to make sure he's taking Rudy Gobert and Cat off the dribble, and make sure you can only play one of them at the same time because you get as much talent off the floor. That's what you want, especially as a head coach. Um, but Frank Vogel, I don't think he's going to be around next year. I don't really like the playoff rotations. I think a lot of the defense is lackluster. You're not even going against a high scoring output team. Um, bit tough. Also, I would ask, was there any? So the finalists came out for each award, at least each important award. Was there anyone that surprised you, Skit?
In terms of finalists, no one really surprised me, I would say. Everyone's who I expected. Even the winners, like I feel like I can pick out who's gonna win each award. Besides maybe MIP, but I feel like that's gonna be Tyrese Maxey. What about you?
I'm just happy Shay's there. Um, I hope he's two. I don't think he's one. It's really interesting because the MVP discourse always fluctuates so much.
Hmm.
Um, and you hear one person say something different, but it's like who's actually credible. And unfortunately, like people follow certain media people's like opinions. Like I remember people used to follow Zach Lowe. He doesn't have a vote this year. I was listening to his podcast, but basically he's going to put his stuff out before like his choices after the finalists come out, which I just think is ridiculous. He has to do that because people just used to copy him.
Yeah, that's what
Because it's
people
that.
they legitimately would do that. They just copy his picks, and a lot of the media people, at least, like whoever Zach picked, almost always won the awards. I'll quickly read through the awards and the finalists real quick, just so the listeners know. Clutch Player of the Year, Steph Curry, DeMar DeRozan, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Again, these are not in order. These are just the players and the awards. They're going to be announced throughout this week, actually. Kia Defensive Player of the Year, Bam, Gobert, Wembanyama. Most Improved Player, Tyrese Maxey, Şengün, Kobe White. MVP, Luka, Shea, Jokic. Rookie of the Year, Chet, Brandon Miller, Victor Wembanyama. Sixth Man of the Year, Malik Monk, Bobby Portis Jr., and Naz Reid. And last but not least, the NBA Coach of the Year, Mark Daignault, Chris Finch, Jamal Mosley. And I also apologize to Matt because at the very start of this podcast, we did award predictions, and Matt was very specific about how to pronounce each of these awards. And I realized halfway through that I didn't do that at all.
I didn't actually realize that you'd fucked up. But yeah, it's Skit commands Roy, Evipa, Mip, Koi. Um, the OGs will get us, but we
Deep
that's how
boy.
we
Yeah. Yeah.
deeply. Um, no, what actually stumped me when you were reading that out is that you shouted out Kia, and I'm like, bro, this is
Oh, I did? Oh,
Yeah, you're like the Kia Defensive Player of the Year. I'm like, okay.
uh,
Okay, represent. This man drives a Kia. Confirmed.
you know what, Matt? I'm all about that money. Remember earlier in the pod, Chesapeake, I had to correct you on the pronunciation. Over
Hmm
here, giving a shout out to Kia. You know, business is business, guys. You have to do what you have to do sometimes. Should we go real quick and say who's gonna win each award? Because I feel very confident that I can pick out every single winner correctly.
Okay, why don't you just go through it and I'll tell you if I agree or not?
All right. Clutch player of the year, Steph Curry.
No.
Who do you think's gonna get it?
I don't want. I just don't want him to get it. I don't think she will get it, but I don't think Steph. Like I
You
know
think
Steph
DeMar will?
leads in like. No, I
Yeah,
don't think.
Steph. I heard
Mm,
some media people talking about Steph Curry clutch stats, and I was just like, oh man, they're gonna give it to him, aren't they?
he needs
So
something. He's
yeah,
not in the
that's
playoffs.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was the 10 seed. It's like, come on. Two guys who were 10 seeds are on this list who have a bad winning percentage in the clutch. But because they scored a bunch of points that count as clutch points, they're gonna win the award. It's insane. Meanwhile, Shea has like a almost 70% winning percentage in clutch games and has like slightly less points than them, but he's not gonna get it. It's insane to me. Especially because they're
Okay.
not gonna give him MVP either. So it's like, come on, man. But anyway, sorry. Moving on to D boy, I think it's gonna be Gobert.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. MIP, I think it's gonna be Tyrese Maxey.
I
I
agree.
don't feel this is the one I'm least confident in. Who do you
I
think
would love
gets it?
Kobe White to get it. Like
Yeah.
I would love that just because he's like they're both lovable. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
And they're both one's UNC and one's Kentucky. Um, but Kobe White's just infectious. He just has that like vibe to him. Everyone loves him, which means that
Yeah.
everyone next year won't like him or be critical of him because that's how the NBA works.
Yeah, that is true. He's definitely deserving to be here. I just find it really funny how two guys who are on the 9 seed that didn't make the playoffs are finalists for NBA awards, but I don't blame the players, I blame the system. Uh, the MVP, what's MVP again? MVP or just
MVP,
MVP?
MVP.
MVP. Yes, it's like sounds French. I think Jokic is gonna win it. Feels pretty set in stone with that one,
Yep,
and he's not gonna care
best
at
player.
all about that.
He's the best player
Rookie
in
of
the
the
world.
year. Yep. Rookie of the year, Victor Wembanyama.
Roy Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, Roy Victor Wembanyama. Six Moy, six man of the year. Nas Reed.
Probably. I don't know six more that well. Also, Victor Wembanyama sounds French as well. Just so you know.
Yeah, I wonder why. The NBA Coach of the Year, Mark Daignault of the
Yes,
Oklahoma
sir.
City Thunder.
See, we'll get something. We get Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that is true. So it can't be too mad. But that is my prediction for what all the awards will be. By the time this podcast comes out, I think about two or three of these are going to be announced. Nonetheless, though, you guys can let me know if I was absolutely wrong or if I'm correct. And if I'm correct, then this is, recorded after it happened. So that's the gamble we're taking. But nonetheless, we can move on. What are some of your like playoff performances that are notable to you, Matt, so far? Just a couple guys you want to give a shout out to. It could be role players, it could be a star player, just some names.
I think as soon as you asked me that, I thought star players, and I'm like, nobody. Like, nobody's really shown out. Like, Anthony Edwards had like 35. Oh, sorry, Dame went off last night, didn't he? He had 35 points in the half. I slept through that. I haven't watched any of that. Um,
That was
so,
crazy. We should give like a small shout out to Dame because that first half, Matt, was just absolutely insane. He had almost as many points as the Pacers in the first half. And I think with 2 minutes to go, he was either slightly below them or had the exact same as them with 2 minutes to go at halftime. The second half, I'm not sure why, but he just was very passive. He wasn't trying to score as much, but that first half was special, I gotta say.
that is tough. I always love those games where like Kobe matches the same score and it's like Dallas. Was that the 81 game? No, that was against the Raptors. That
No.
was a different 70
Yeah.
something.
I think it was like a 60 something point game, but through 3 quarters, he had the same points as the Dallas Mavericks, like entire team, which is just
Yeah.
crazy. Um, we can move on. Were there any other names that stood out to you?
Uh, it's hard because it's not any like patterns. Because obviously we've just seen game one. So obviously if Nicholas Batum went off then playing, we could be like, great, that sounds French as well. And he can play in the fourth quarter. Obviously, Casey Wallace. I think he did really well. I think the point I was going to make earlier is, when we drafted him, we were saying, "Oh, who are you going to trust? Like, is it going to be Dort or Kaysen guarding the best guy? Is there going to be like a battle? You guys going to barge about it?" But no, you just switch. Like Dort had like 3 fouls in the second quarter. Okay, so you're coming in. So obviously just the versatility of having a great on-ball defender in case of Wallace. Uh, but RJ Marshall played really good for like 2 quarters, and then he started chatting shit and fell off.
Yeah, Najee Marshall was a menace. Specifically, he only has one steal listed, but in the third or I think the fourth quarter, maybe, or second quarter, something like that. Some pivotal moments, he forced turnovers from OKC that like helped the Pelicans gain momentum. Like he was huge. And Trey Murphy as well. I gave him a shout out already, so we don't need to harp on it, but his ability to shoot from deep is tough, and sticking Josh Giddey on him might not be the move. You might need someone who could actually move his feet a little bit because he was fairly comfortable dropping 20 in that game. So um there was one other name I wanted to shout out, but I lost who it was. Give me one
Mm.
second. It
You were
was
too
Jalen
busy thinking
Williams.
about, oh yeah.
Jalen Williams, J-Dub. He did a great job getting that crowd hype. OKC easily had the best crowd of the weekend, I'd say. Second is probably Boston. But yeah, the Thunder crowd was just absolutely insane. And Jalen Williams, when the Thunder were struggling and they went on a small run, he was smart enough to just start getting the crowd to go crazy, which again might have overhyped the team a little bit, but it worked out. And he had a great game, in my opinion. Even though like statistically slightly under 50%, 19 points, but when it's a dogfight like this where the Thunder score 94 points and the Pelicans score 92 points, combined points being under 200 in the year of our Lord 2024, that is very rare to happen in the NBA. So that was impressive to see.
Mm-hmm. And that's where any bucket really comes to it. And in these close games, what always gets to me is like, one team can play so much better than the other, but it's like 9 points difference. That's like up to three threes. It could be like four layups and an and one. And it's not a lot of points. And these are NBA players that Damian Lillard just went off for 35 and a half. So it might seem like there's some distance, but it's it's really, and speaking of some distance, uh I think Skit just wants to leave some distance between the Orlando Magic and the Cavs game because I don't think he wants to talk about it, but I will.
Yep, let's talk about it.
So I saved the best for last. I've already
Yeah,
said that Paolo needs to be way more aggressive, man. Like it's kind of frustrating. Like, okay, it's really I'm literally harping on a guy who's my age, like he's 21. So I'm not gonna say too much. Like this is his first playoff game. But the guy is trying to read the set defense against him before he even makes a move. And obviously, like, oh Matt, that just makes sense. Jokic probably does this. No, no, no. This guy is staring for like 4 or 5 seconds. If he gets a good catch, he gets a good post position. He's not attacking. He's trying to make this skip pass, but he's making a skip pass with one of the worst shooting teams in the playoffs. Um, like to a guy like Gary Harris. I love Gary Harris, but just not the kind of shooters you're looking for in the playoff. Um, but we can get into some of the guard play that we kind of touched on in the preview.
yep. Just sticking with it at that point, just for one more second. When you're the Orlando Magic and you struggle to score in the regular season, and then you go to the playoffs and you face a Cavs team that are, known for their defense and have two absolute monster defenders down low in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. It's a tough recipe. Like they scored 83 points, and like if you have the over under at 2 games of scoring over 100, I think I would go under with the Magic. Like they might do it once this series, but I don't see them doing it multiple times. It's just the way their team is built. It's really rough. They have a hard time scoring. They had to play Jonathan Isaac at center, which makes you think, oh, maybe this is like a small ball, fast-paced lineup. And it's like, no, it's just rough basketball, I guess you could say. Um, I still think the Magic can win 1 or 2 games, but I think the Cavs are going to comfortably win, especially Donovan Mitchell. He was locked in. He had his threes. Darius Garland did a good job playmaking, spoon feeding Evan Mobley some looks, spoon feeding Jared Allen. And these guys look like they got embarrassed last season, and they're playing like it. Like they're playing like they know what's at stake, and they need to, put their best foot forward in this game.
Yeah, the Cavs care, and the crowd's really good. Donovan Mitchell came out to play, maybe not as fitness ready as he needs to be. You can see the kind of fatigue setting in. Like a lot of he didn't have a lot of lift on kind of shooting threes off the dribble. But to sum up how much people love this game, I basically set a summary into my group chat, and I got a yawn react to this and said, "The Cavs have not hit a three since the midpoint of the first quarter, but the Magic's offense is so tragic they're still up 9, like the Cavs." Like, if we're talking about like how much okay, obviously I just checked the Cavs 3-point percentage, but that's probably I'll have to go back on my statement of saying the Thunder had the lowest 3-point percentage to win a playoff game because it was against the Orlando Magic. But yeah, Cavs won this. It's nice to see like Jalen Suggs and those guys in a playoff setting. And you mentioned Jonathan Isaac. Uh, like he just has moments where I'm like, okay, maybe I understand why he was like a top 10 pick. Uh, like I understand because you just see like this one move where it's really quick release three. I'm like, oh, maybe that's why.
Yeah, and if this guy never got injured, he'd be a borderline all-star easily. But even with the injuries, look at the way he defends. Like this he has like the grace of a gazelle with the length of a giraffe, something like that. Like he can stay in front of everybody. He's arguably the best defender in the NBA. It's just that his legs are so cooked he can't stay on the court long enough, but he's really good at what he does. I recommend like let's check how many minutes he played in this game. He
Yeah,
he played 28 minutes, which is actually like probably close to a season high for him. And he had 3 blocks and 3 steals. Like this guy's a monster.
yeah. I mean, I did ask it, like how many minutes do you expect to see him? And you said 15. So the Cavaliers shot 27% from three. So that is 4% less than the Thunder. So I was right, it seems. Anyway, um, we can maybe move on to a game in this bit, but I'm going to carry the pot as well. Skit takes the phone call. Uh, right. So next later games that we're going to see tonight is I think it's Lakers. I think the Lakers are definitely playing. Uh, Magic. See what's great about like the weekend is they always line up the
Mhm.
games so everyone can watch them, um, like throughout the day. But
Mhm.
as soon as it gets into like game two, like it just gets scuppered. So like the Magic
Yeah,
and the Knicks are playing at the same time tonight.
exactly. You're gonna have to pick which one you're gonna watch. I I mean, I think Sixers and Knicks, again, as long as Embiid is like relatively healthy, is gonna be way better. So I'd probably watch that one. But then again, Magic Cavs, I feel like it's one of those games where if it's close in the fourth quarter, that's gonna be more entertaining because it's gonna be a lot of ethical defense going on there. Um, I guess Matt, quick question: What has your opinion changed on any series? Like, is there something you didn't expect to see that you're seeing right now? And has your opinion legitimately changed with any series? Or are you same predictions?
I think the Timberwolves Suns. I'm a bit worried about that. Um,
Mhm.
you could say the Pacers Bucks, but only because the Pacers played so horrendously. But the rest, I'm kind of confident on. Obviously, this is game one. Okay, if you win the first game, that does not mean you're going to win the series. Also, I think you pointed out that every home seed won.
Yes, every home team won game one, and that's the first time this has happened since 2013. So that's a pretty cool fact, I guess. It's been 11 years since that's happened. Because, yeah, usually you get at least one team that is able to steal game one and all that stuff, but not this year. Everyone came to play, came to take care of business.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of business, we might wrap up the pod soon, but do you want to play a little game skip?
Yes, let's play a game and wrap up the pod. And
Cool.
this episode might be a little bit shorter, but again, we're one man down, and we want to save some time for midweek reactions for when games are actually going, series are finally in the middle, and both teams are able to win a game, so it's a little bit more juicy. But playoff basketball has been absolutely amazing as Matt sets up I called game. Again, the website is icalledgame.hoopsgrid hopes hoopgrids hoopgrids.com. So check that out. You can just Google I called game and you can find it. And the game we're discussing right now is James Harden's 60-point game, I think it is, against the Knicks. It looks like it gives me that vibe in like
Uh,
2017 because I see Ryan Anderson there. And yeah, it's the first quarter of that game.
I was going to suggest we don't do this because like I have no idea, but let's cook. You seem to know.
Yeah, I know. I think
Um,
we can get a decent score on this one. All right, teams. It's obviously Knicks on the road at Houston facing Harden, Peak Harden. It's under Lakers, by the way, the Knicks logo.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, they're the visitor, so it's the other way around.
Oh, dang. All right, Houston, Knicks. Nice. Next round, year 2018 is what I'd go with.
So is that Carmelo Anthony?
That is Carmelo.
So he came to Thunder in 2018.
Yes.
Yes, I'm it.
Yes.
Oh,
Then it's 2016. But it's the 2016-17 season though. Oh,
no way.
oh my dang. I got the right season, but the game was literally played December 31, 2016. So that's tough.
LeBron's birthday for those that don't know.
All right, yep. Coaches, Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah. I can't even think for the next.
Oof. Who is it for the
Thib-
Knicks?
Thibodeau's not there. They
So
had like
can you
no.
go through the pictures? Maybe we could look at the Knicks bench. There's
Yeah,
four pictures that are given to us. Oh no, it's only two that are unlocked right now.
it's not Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson retired ages ago.
It could be though, because he had that short stint where he was terrible. But no, he was president of the team. He wasn't the coach. They hired Jeff Hornacek one year. It might be him. Hornacek. Hornacek.
I will try anything. Pause.
Yeah. Oh,
Try it.
yes. Yeah, let's try it. Nine.
Ooh,
That's Jeff
cooked.
Hornacek. Check, whatever.
Bro, I need to get an ad blocker for real.
Yeah. All right. The
Oh,
11
really
players.
short rotation.
Ooh. Okay, Houston is pretty easy, at least the first couple. Harden, Gordon, Capella, Eric, yeah. Capella, Ariza.
Oh, no Capella.
Capella didn't play. Okay. Ariza, Trevor Ariza. Ryan Anderson, he was on the court.
So what big would they have in instead?
I don't
Nene?
know. Yeah, Nene. He was on that team.
Cook.
But who else is there?
Trevor
That's
Ariza. Oh, it's Derrick Rose.
who's that guy? That's Anderson. Yeah. Oh, D Rose.
Is that
Is that
is that
Bullock?
Nene?
No, that's not Nene. Nene had he was much bigger. I think it might be Bullock.
Oh, Corey Brewer.
Brewer. Oof. Corey Brewer
Uh,
is a coach with the Pelicans now, by the way. Fun fact.
thank you.
Assistant
Oh,
coach.
who's number 5 there?
Beverly? Beverly was on that team.
Was he?
Yeah, yeah.
Still? Oh, was that the
It
Thunder
was
year?
before, yeah, before they traded him. It was the year
Nope.
they faced the Thunder in the playoffs. Who else was on that team? This was before they got Lou Williams, because I know they traded for Lou Williams.
Kyle Lowry. No, that's way too
No,
old.
this is tough. I don't know.
Okay,
All right,
okay.
Knicks,
Start next.
Carmelo. This is gonna be tough. Listeners, I apologize.
Knicks fans, we apologize. Those.
Porzingis, was he
No,
healthy or injured? He might have been injured, but he was on
I
the
haven't
team.
seen him.
Yeah, you can try it just to see. Yeah, he was
Nope.
injured. Ugh.
Would like Nerlens Noel? Was he
Oh,
drafted then?
you can try it. I don't think so. Lance Thomas.
Uh, no idea who that is.
I saw him. I saw him. Let's see.
Oh,
Yeah,
cooked.
nice.
I was gonna say RG Barrett. Like, I don't know.
Who are these people? Alfred Payton, I think.
Oh, maybe. I think it. Nope.
Oh, oh man.
We're not Knicks.
Who are these
91.
people?
Was that
91?
Kyle?
Nah. Singler was on
He just
OKC
looked.
that year.
He just looks so like. You can
Yeah,
see it, right?
yeah. The hair. Try the next page. Let's see. Yeah, I literally have no idea who these people are. J.R. Smith was J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert. I think they were on this team. Oh no, they weren't. No, because they got traded to the Cavs. No, they're not. Oh,
Okay, let me. It might have been before.
it's not him. No.
Okay, I'm just gonna input anyway.
Yeah,
This is before my days of like being a serious NBA fan.
we might be cooked, chat.
Who's this guy? Who's like Austin Rivers?
No idea. It's not us. Courtney Lee. Courtney
Who
Lee. It might be Courtney Lee. Yes.
who are these people?
If it's not
I
Courtney
know
Lee,
Courtney
I give
Lee.
up. Oh, I give up. I give up.
Okay, submit.
6 out of 9 and 4 out of 10. Let's see all the players that we missed. Brandon Jennings,
Sam
Sasha
Decker.
Vujovic,
Who are
William
these people?
Gomez, Sam. Yo,
Okay,
a lot of these. I'm not even mad about this, man. How are you gonna get these names?
the only one we could have got maybe is like
Maurice
Harold.
Endor. Maurice Endor. How are you supposed to get that? Harold, we should have gotten. That's a little embarrassing, but that's the only one I'm mad about. The rest of these, like, come on, man. All right,
Last shot.
next guess. Final shot. Harden. I don't know. This is tough.
Over.
This is gonna be our worst score yet. Yeah,
Jeez.
it's gonna be someone random, like I don't know, Montrezl Harrell dunk or
Mene?
something.
Nah, he'll be
Sure,
in. Bro,
like Brandon Jennings hit the last shot. How are we supposed to know that, man? All right,
oh,
yeah, the Harden had
so
a
the
50
game
point
was.
triple double. That's what it was.
That's so insane. Oh, what the hell?
That is insane.
Okay,
But
we can wrap up.
yeah, what else? Yes, what else has been insane is this year's playoffs. They have been pretty good. I've been enjoying every game. Enjoy basketball, everyone. Take care. Subscribe to YAMology on YouTube. Like this podcast. Download this podcast. Like the videos on YouTube. Appreciate all the love and support. Message us with any feedback you might have. Check out all our content on our personal pages as well. Matt, do you have anything you would like to plug?
I'll do shouts that you forgot last week. So I'm actually SGA for MVP skates at OKC underscore skills or just OKC skills. And then
Yes.
at
Okay.
Alex underscore Dr. Prob. Even though we've been carrying with Also, the listeners need to know, why did you change your profile pic?
What?
What,
Oh,
why
why did
did
I
you
change it? I just felt like it's the playoffs, like it's new vibe and everything. So I just decided to spice it up. And I changed my profile picture. That was part of the reason. And yeah, Alex is at Alex Dr. Prof. No underscore there. But nonetheless, we
Okay.
appreciate you guys listening. And we'll be back with more playoff recaps in about a week.
See ya later.